Hello and welcome to Camp Xox. Fable is one of my favorite franchises. I absolutely love the first two games, and I think the third entry is fun. Yet outside of those core entries, Fable has more to offer. There's a Kinect game and a mobile game, but today I'm interested in the Xbox Live Arcade releases. Fable got two Xbox Live Arcade games, Fable 2 pub games and Fable Heroes. Two Fable entries that I feel many have forgotten. I went back and played through both of them, and let me tell you how that went. All footage was captured off of an Xbox 360, and I want to thank my YouTube channel members for their support, but let's go ahead and hop into this one. The first of these two games was Fable 2 pub games. This one had an interesting rollout because it was released before Fable 2, which came out in October 2008, whereas this one came out on August 13th, 2008. It was released for the price of 800 Microsoft points or $10. You could also get it if you pre-ordered Fable 2 in certain places. Carbonated Games developed this game with Lionhead Studios. Carbonated Games used to be Microsoft's flagship casual developer that made web-based games for them, but they also made Hexic and the 360 version of Uno. Pub Games is a collection of gambling games set within the mini-pubs of the Fable world of Albion. Pub Games would later make appearances in the main game, so consider this as a preamble to Fable 2. It also does not include all of the pub games. There is just 3 you roll through. As far as content goes, this game is limited, and it's more focused on you getting money and leveling up with the money to enter tournaments that force you to put in more and more money. Though it's not just for the satisfaction of winning, the gold you earn can be transferred into your Fable 2 bank account. So if you bought this game at launch, you would have a hoard of money going into Fable 2. This is an element that I missed from this era, and that's game synergy. The more you win, the more you actually win in-game rewards like haircuts, tattoos, and weapons for Fable 2, and this is a great incentive to make a fake currency gambling game retain some purpose. It resembles how later XBLA games gave you avatar awards and gamer pictures. And though these incentives are nice, I think you still need a good game even with these incentives. And I'm not sure Pub Games is that great. So let's start with the best game here, and that's Fortune's Tower. This is a card-based game where all of the cards are stacked around at a time, going down in a pyramid-shaped pattern. You earn chips based on the numbers of the cards and how they add up in a row, which go up with how much you bet. The goal is to leave the game before a duplicate card stacks on top of another. Once that happens, the game is over and you lose your money. There are a few other rules, but that's the basic gist of this game, and I think this is a great idea. It's a simple solitaire-like game, and it includes a bit of strategy. The game features tournaments of differing buy-in levels, and you have to think of when you want to leave to be safe, or if you want to take the chance and push on to gain more money. It's a simple game of tension and pushing yourself. If you reach the bottom, which you have to be extremely lucky to do, you win the value of every card here, giving you this risk-reward rush. The one thing about this game is that you do not get any variety. When you click on this game, you know what you're gonna get, and there is no formula changes. I'm okay with this though, because I was still returning to this game after going through it, and this was a genuinely fun and simple card game. The next one is a mid-tier game, and that's Keystone, which is a mix of roulette and craps. You get a giant board full of numbers, and you roll dice until the 2 middle numbers or the 2 bottom numbers are rolled. There's a stone arch covering the whole board, and think of it as you are taking out the base or the middle, and when that happens, the arch falls. You bet on what numbers are going to be rolled in the entire game, and you can't change these bets. But in the middle of the game, you can bet on all the middle pieces every roll. This whole game is incredibly up to chance since the dice roll is random, and you can try to put chips on easier bets, like rolling a high or low number, or harder bets, which might be something specific like rolling a certain run of dice. I should go ahead and just admit, gambling video games are just not my thing. I like games like poker and blackjack, but I find games like roulette to be a bit tedious. It's so up to chance, and it feels incredibly easy just to lose all your money. Unlike real life though, where you have a chance to win real money, here you're just dealing with fake currency, and I feel like there's no stakes. There's only light strategy here, and it feels like a lot of the time you're just blind guessing, and I found this game to just not be that entertaining. Yet, I will say that most of the time games like these I just don't find fun in most games. At least here you do get a bit of strategy with the archstones, because if a lower number is rolled without its stone, it moves down to the next one on the stone. So it's easier to earn money there if you predict that it'll be low or high. Yet despite that, this game tends to be overly long, and once your chips are off the table and you're still rolling, it feels pointless. Keystone is fun for a few rounds, but overall, it's not something I really return to. Let's end off the games with Spinnerbox, which I consider to be the worst game here. Once again, all biases on the table. I think slots in video games are miserable. The only gameplay you get is hitting a button and watching random images come up in the hope that they match. In real life, you get to have fun because you're winning real money, but in a game where the money has zero value, I need some type of gameplay. Spinnerbox is literally slots with special shapes. There's nothing more to it, and I don't think hitting a button and watching it spin over and over on maximum bets is fun. They do continuously make slot video games, so I'm sure I'm part of a minority that doesn't like these, but Spinnerbox is bland, like most slot games. I actually find it a bit sad that one of 3 of these games is this simple. They could have done something fun and done slots with a twist, or just a new, unique gambling game, but instead, they went for something that's been done a million times before. I had no fun with this one, and it's easily the easiest one to skip here, because it's just slots and nothing more. I may not have loved Keystone, but at least that one has creativity. Even if all of the elements of this game don't add up, one thing I can appreciate is its look and music. Sure, pub games is simple in look and design, yet it works with the simplicity of the game, looking like you're playing on old pub tables, and it's simple to look at. I must admit, this game looks like it could fit right in with a mobile game of the time, yet I don't mind that too much, especially with the ambience. There's background noise the whole time, keeping each board busy. The music is cutesy too, going for simpler renditions of Fable tunes. I love the music of Fable, so hearing these new renditions was a treat and fit right into the setting and world. I'm not saying the presentation is exactly wowing in any way here. There's almost no visual variety here, but then again, it doesn't need to. It does set up that pub feeling well, and I enjoy that about it. One thing about this game is that I enjoy its cute music, and Fortune's Tower is a fun game, but overall I'd say this is a poor game. Keystone is weak but not unplayable, and Spinnerbox is simply dull. Also, if you bought this game full price and only got these 3 games, this would have been a ripoff. I'm not sure why the classic coin golf game, which has you pushing coins around a table, is not featured here. Throw that in, and I probably would have enjoyed this more. It's a more than half-week package. I do love the synergy with the main game, allowing you to unlock items and money for it, but it's not worth the time sink in some rough games. Ranking this up with other Xbox Live Arcade games I've reviewed on the channel, this goes in at number 12 of 13. It's better than Dash of Destruction, because I feel like I would return to Fortune's Tower over any part of Dash, yet I feel Watchmen is better because it was a fully consistent idea with more to do. And it seems like critics weren't fond of it either, with a 53 average, according to Metacritic. IGN would give it a 6.4, saying that it was bland. GameSpot gave it a 6.5, saying it didn't do anything particularly well. Official Xbox Magazine would give it a 5, saying it wasn't worth the price, but it was worth it if you pre-ordered the game. Looking around online, I did see some people who played a ton of this, but mostly the consensus was negative, with a 2.4 average on Backlogged, with around 100 plays. This one seems to be a piece of history that isn't worth going back to. That moves us into the other Xbox Live Arcade game, Fable Heroes. It was released on May 2nd, 2012 for $10. This concept started when an event at Lionhead Studios had people pitch fresh ideas, and this one was greenlit with a tiny team of developers. This is a beat-em-up game with a ragdoll toy aesthetic. Similar to the last game, this one served as a sort of preamble to the Connect Fable game, Fable the Journey, which came out later in October. You could transfer money back and forth between these games, which means the Journey also fed into this one. And on top of that, this game is chock full of fun avatar awards. So it keeps the synergy there, but how does it play? Fable Heroes does not have much of a story. You play as ragdoll versions of different characters, and you move through locales from the Fable universe and beat up bad guys. This is an Xbox Live focused game where 4 players can play all at once, but you can play alone with 3 AI. However, the AI is pretty bad, and they will constantly die, along with lagging behind you as you move through this game. However, they never make the game harder. This is as simple as a beat-em-up game can get. You move through linear areas, and you beat up monsters. You hit X for a hit and Y for a slow but stronger attack. You have an area attack that costs health and a dodge roll. This game is easy enough that mashing X is viable all the time, and it's the best way to mow through enemies. In terms of a brawling game, it's basic but a bit fun. It's the kind of mindless entertainment you'd expect from something like this. I think the massive coin pop-ups that come from attacks keep it rewarding, mowing down enemies is easy, and for short bursts, it's enjoyable. Yet the game is quite repetitive as it doesn't change the formula much. I never got tired of it, but it was noticeable that I was having less fun when I played it. The game is extremely short and only takes a few hours to beat, so maybe that's why it never felt tiring. Though when you beat it, you do unlock a harder version of all the levels to play through again, adding some replayability, but it's just the same levels with different enemies, so it's not a huge bonus. One way they try to stick some variety into this game is by having a choice at the end of linear levels. One will take you to a boss, and the other will take you to a minigame usually. The minigames are usually short, quick-time events or survival matches, so they don't bring much, but they are cute additions. The boss battles are another story though. The boss battles in this game are rough. For one, they're much harder than the rest of the game, dealing damage and hits that will wipe out your whole team. Also, most of these bosses are just palette swaps, and these sections are way too repetitive. Usually the boss just sits in one area, jumps up, attacks, and spawns minions. It's like that almost every time, and it becomes a slog because they have so much health for you to tank through. These sections I skipped for minigames because at least those are nice and short. I do think I'm trashing this game hard, and I do think it has issues, but it has some fun with it, especially if you play with someone else. Yet there's a lot here to not like, such as the superfluous chests. All these chests do is make you bigger or smaller or give you a double. There are other things that pop up, but they don't bring anything to the game, so I ended up just skipping them. These felt like padding to make you slow down, open them, and waste some time because the game was so short. One element I do love is the leveling system. So with your money, you can level up your hero. You have dice and you move around a Monopoly-like board, and where you land correlates with what you get. So it might be a space where you can get new combat moves, more health, or buy new characters. You buy these to upgrade yourself, and there's a bit of randomness to it. I think this is a fun way to bring in the board game aesthetic to the world and makes leveling a bit of fun with its randomness. Fable Heroes is fine for what it is with gameplay, with a beat-em-up style that makes it breezy to run through, but it doesn't deliver much more. Some elements are a slog, which is a bit surprising for such a short experience. And it's a game where the weak gameplay could be fixed by having someone else run through it, but I think you can find better gameplay in other multiplayer arcade games before you chose this one. The design of Fable Heroes is a nice and creative aesthetic. It captures the whimsy and fantasy that the series is known for and packages it into something that's cutesy and family-friendly. I think the board game look and the ragdolls all look really nice. The callbacks to areas like Bowerstone and how they capture the buildings and streets and bring that world to life here. I think the feeling of Fable does get captured in the art here, but I'd have to say the game doesn't look the best. Meaning I think something creative is done here, but for whatever reason, it's just pulled off weakly. It all has a light haze and slowdown, and I'm unsure why this game has such bad slowdown. Everything just runs a bit too slow, and when you get into fights, the frame rate gets questionable. The action in general gets blurry, and when there is a lot of motion, it makes the action just messy in general. So I feel the art design is well achieved, but this game doesn't technically work well. You could say the same for the music. At first, it's good. It has the Fable whimsy with solid music, but as you move through the levels, it becomes repetitive and hard to listen to. And I hate trashing on the works of Robin Beanland and Steve Burke, who made some of the best video game music ever with Rare, but here this feels like Rare music tracks without the catchiness or charm, filled with loud brass sections and odd delivery that comes off as more annoying than it is fun, sounding like Banjo-Kazooie without the soul. Sometimes it gets it right, but most of the music in these levels is pretty annoying. The sound in general is that way too, with a lot of squeaky sound effects that fit the toy theme, but it's repetitive and tiring to hear. Otherwise, the fighting noises and small instances of cute sounds are fine and inoffensive. As I was writing this and I'm talking about it now, I realized how many issues this game has. The frame rate and look ruin some of the art design, the boss fights and lack of content makes some of the simple gameplay more tedious, and some of the music hurts the tone of the game. I want to stress that I did enjoy this game in some way. For a quick run through, it's fine, especially with friends, but it is a very flawed game. A game like this could have been done much better, and it comes out of this feeling a bit mediocre. On my ranking list, this one does come out better than pub games and takes the number 10 slot. I thought this was slightly better than Watchmen because I liked the art design more and thought it was more memorable, but Crazy Taxi, even though I don't really like the Xbox Live Arcade version, is still a much better game. This game only did slightly better critically than the last game with a 55 on Metacritic. IGN gave it a 5, saying that the nice visuals did not make up for how mundane it was. GameSpot gave it a 5.5, saying it was mediocre. Official Xbox Magazine felt a bit better on it with a 7, saying that the only reason to play this was just to get gold for Fable the Journey. I don't think most people are fond of this game either, though I do have a good friend who really enjoys this game and will probably be disappointed in hearing this review. Most comments I see online are generally about how this game is boring. On Backlogged, it's worse reviewed than pub games with a 2.2 with over 100 plays. This one also seems to have a weak legacy. It seems that going back to Fable Xbox Live Arcade games, they were blips for the series that weren't as special as the main games. These little side adventures like pub games felt like a forgettable experience, and Heroes had potential, but it was squandered. It's sad because I love Fable, and it felt like a franchise that tried to branch out, but never did it well enough to stand on its own. But I can't really recommend either of them. I'd say stick with any of the games from the main trilogy, and then you'll have a great time. But that does wrap it up for today. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like, it really helps me out in the algorithm. Subscribe to keep up with more retro Xbox content, and be sure to check out my second channel, Camp Extras, for more retro gaming content. And I want to give a huge shout out to my YouTube channel members. Thank you so much for your support. You really help out the channel. And I'll see you here next time at Camp Xbox.